My name's Joseph Yeaman. In 2001, I conceived the original idea for MagFest, and in September of 2002, I was the chairman of the very first MagFest right here at this hotel. We're going to go inside and look around for a minute. There's people here. Don't worry about us. Do what you need to do. It's an active hotel, of course. We're going to wear masks when we go inside. Before we go in, a couple of things. Start. Well, so it occurred, and MagFest is going to turn 20 years old in 2022. And it occurred to me that there's a lot of people staffing the show, attending the show, staffing the show, and probably in a few more years running the show, who weren't even born in 2001. So Tom here was an attendee at MagFest 1, and we'll tell you his story on the way in. And he's back here in Roanoke for the first time in almost 20 years. So we thought we'd come by the hotel and record a few things here and there, et cetera, et cetera. We'll start with this story. I don't know if you can see the sign here. That you used to have exchangeable letters where you could put, welcome convention of the week here. And at the time, there was a local carpenters union meeting the same weekend as MagFest 1, and it said, welcome Woodmen of the World. And that's where the lumberjacks got their name from. They're the Woodmen of the World. The union building's right down the street from where I live. Before we go in, what else can I tell you? The shirts. So we had. Tom, you want me to hold the camera, or you want to be in the picture for a minute, or?
Just wave and say hi.
Hey, that's, I'll tell you Tom's story on the way in, how we met Tom. But the shirts, my cousin did the artwork on the front, and here on the back, September 27th to 29th. Does it say Holiday Inn Tanglewood on it? I don't even know.
It says Holiday Inn.
Yeah, it's where we are now. We did 100 of these shirts. At the time, it seemed to make sense to have the big picture on the back and a small picture on the front. I don't know if we would do that again, but we did 100 of these, and I still have 2, and Tom has 1, so 3 of them are accounted for. I don't know about the rest. Anyway, let's go. We've got to. We might pause it for a minute here. Not yet, because we've got to go talk with our liaison inside and put on our masks and But we'll pick it up when we get to the entrance of the hallway where the convention happened and the ballrooms and whatnot. All right. So that's part 1.
All right.
Okay, here we are all masked up, getting ready to go in, just like we did almost 20 years ago for MagFest 1. This is the entrance. This part's been redone. This really hasn't changed much. The inside will look different from what you remember, maybe. Yeah, this all looks very, very different. So you're about to see just how small MagFest 1 was. I think we had a little over 250, maybe 260, 270, 280 attendees. Registration was right here. It was just one table with a bunch of these plastic badges for people who registered, and we had a little lamination machine to make more badges on the spot. We had them in about 3 or 4 different colors. By the way, let me talk about, this is Maggie. She was MagFest's original mascot because we wanted to have a character attached to the show. We had 3 characters. They weren't really used past MagFest 2, but if you look for old MagFest memorabilia online, you'll see her and the other girl, and the 3rd character was a robot. We blatantly ripped off of Robo and Chrono Trigger. So, but yeah, these characters were on the badges and on the program books and so on and so forth. But yeah, registration was right here. Get down the hallway there. And before we go in the 4 rooms, we'll go down the hallway real quick and get a good look for it. I'm going to show you where we had 2 tabletop tables. The entire tabletop department was pretty much 2 tables set up, and people could sit down and do whatever they wanted.
Yep. Now it's the entire Riverview Ballroom at the Gaylord.
Yeah.
And it's still not enough.
Yeah, I'll show you. It's right here in this little alcove. We had 1 table. People were playing at the time, I guess would have been 3rd edition D&D. And 1 table where people were playing Magic the Gathering. And it was right here.
I remember this area.
This was tabletop. This was it. This was all of it.
Yep.
1 table, 2 tables. All right. We'll go down here and then we'll go into the main ballroom. And so we had 5 rooms in here you're going to see. 2 rooms there and 2 rooms there. We're going to take a look at those. We'll come back to these because they still got to unlock them for us. And we had one what do you call it, suite up on the 2nd floor for, food and con suite. And that was everything. But let's come back over here so you can see these 5. Now this is 5 rooms, ballrooms A through E. We had A, B, and C as one. You can air wall it up into 5 sections. We had it in 2. So E and D were one, and A, B, and C were the other. Let's go in A, B, and C. Well, I think we're going to see all 5 of them. You're going to just, all 5 of these, and we thought it was huge. I think, Tom, one of your panel rooms is bigger than all 5 of these combined. Well, they do have it split up. This is almost perfect. So, almost perfect. Please. There are people sitting up for a 5 p.m. event, so we've got about 30 minutes or so to do this. Let me know if your battery,
I'm fine.
So, it's a little reverse now. So, this is A and B. Now, and so it's C, D, and E. We would have had A, B, and C, and D and E. But if you can look around, this is about 40% of what was MagFest 1.
Yeah, because this air wall was open, right?
Yeah, it was one more down. It was one more down because there was a couple of these air walls. You see one right here too. And this would have been the game room. All the games and systems. We had TVs and tables set up here. Atari, TurboGrafx. At the time, the big things were the original Xbox and the GameCube were less than a year old. There was no Wii. There was no PS3. There certainly was no Steam.
Yeah, Mag 1 was September 2002. So.
Yeah, September of 2002, that's right. So yeah, you would have come in through that entrance right there, and we would have had tables up with stacks of prizes to give away. I should talk about the prizes that we gave away, because we had a lot of good support. Working Designs, Nico, Pelican, Atlas, Xbox, that's a good story actually. But this was it, if you could picture rows. So over here we had a bunch of big screen TVs set up and a couple of arcade cabinets. And this is where we met you, Tom, because we were rolling in the arcade cabinets. I'll stop and tell the story real quick. We got here Thursday night, the 26th of September, 2002, and we unlocked these doors. And we had a U-Haul with a bunch of cabs, most of which didn't work. We didn't know that. We went out with our dollies to get the cabs, and we come in, and there's a guy sitting at one of the tables right here with his own TV and his own Neo Geo AES, and he's already playing games, and it's Tom right here, and he helped us move stuff in. And so Tom was not the lowest registered attendee number, but Tom was the first attendee to ever show up at a MagFest. And now he's recording me. And we got all that set up. We had, rows of tables here, on the other side of this wall for a little bit more. And we had, Atari, Nintendo, Genesis, Master System. We tried to cover all the major American consoles from, the late 70s up through 2002. And I think we did. No. Remember, PCs were set up in the corner. We had eight computers, towers.
That's right.
8
It's like 2 small rows, I believe.
It was, 4 in each row, 8 CRTs, 8 towers, all networked, and that was the LAN room right there in that corner. 8 computers. And then we had the DDR machine there. We had some big screens along here, and the rows of TVs and tables started here and went back. Let's go into the next room.
Okay.
Oops. Hi. They're supposed to have these unlocked for us. We'll find out. And they are. That's awesome.
Okay.
Knock, knock. Okay, we're good. And this. Is this from here or is that another? No. This is the entire rest of it, I think.
Yeah.
Is it really? God, how tiny. So what you just saw was 50% of the main ballroom of MagFest. And this is the other 50%. That's how tiny MagFest 1 was. This room was a little different. We had, if you bring the camera over here,
okay.
they had a stage for us, and we had rented these lights that were way too hot, and we paid like a couple $100 for them, what a waste. Because they were too hot for such a small room and a small stage. They were bright. So we had panels and concerts all in one room, because we had three bands perform Saturday night, 1 concert. And we had about 7 or 8 panels otherwise the whole weekend. And the tables and chairs were set up along here. And no tables, just rows of chairs. And that was it. This was panels and concerts all in one room. And that was, we can go out here. We had everyone perform. We had the One-Ups perform with guest stars A.L. Shawn and Jake Kaufman. And Stephen Kennedy, I think, helped them out. And then, of course, if you know the One-Ups, that was Mustin and Dale North. So that was all 5 or 6 of them. And then we had the mini bosses perform as, the headliner. And that was really what turned MagFest into a music event. Originally, MagFest was just meant to be just a video game convention.
It was like a happy accident, wasn't it, for the music groups?
It was. I pictured MagFest to be more like a free-for-all, like E3, which is kind of what Penny Arcade does now, kind of a free-for-all E3, or even like one of these, swap meets like Too Many Games or Philly Classic. But we couldn't get any. I could talk about this on the ride home. We can just plug the phone in and record on the drive. I can have one of my we can park somewhere and I can have a rant. Where's that? Okay, so, I can do my Rocky impression. Okay. But we couldn't get any traction with MagFest. Nobody wanted to help us out. I'm not going to name any names. There are people who are big in big names in gaming these days who, anyways, but we contacted the mini bosses and they said, yeah, buy our plane tickets, fly us out, we'll do your show. And they put our event on their website, and suddenly the E for Everyone heard about it, and the One Ups heard about it, and Stephen Kennedy and Ailshawn and Jake Kaufman heard about it. And suddenly all of the guests that were showing up were music oriented. And we needed something, so that was it. So yeah, MagFest, the heavy emphasis on music in video games, yeah, it was kind of a happy accident. But maybe it was for the best. Anyways, yeah, we had BT Garner, who was the first person to homebrew TurboGrafx games. And he did a panel here. Stephen Kennedy, Jake Kaufman, Ailshawn, who else did we? Seems like how could I forget Robert? Hey, Robert Aldrich, if you're watching this, yeah, Robert writes his graphic novel. It was Teach the Sky back then, and he's written several since. He showed up, and he was selling his graphic novel in the hallway. He had a table out there, and he did a panel here about his books. And he is the only lumberjack, there's like 8 of them left. He is the only lumberjack who has also been a guest every single year of the show. I think we can look in the program book later. Let's go outside here. Hopefully they've unlocked the smaller rooms by now. Ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, short note on the mask. We're in this room all by ourselves, so I just took it off for just a second. When we're out there and there's other people, anyways. So this is one of the 2 dealers' rooms, and if you can sweep around the room, you can see how tiny it is. There was one dealer in this room, me. I had my own business at the time, Captain Game Station, and I pretty much emptied out every bit of inventory from my store and set up a square of tables here that weekend, and I did okay, I guess. We'll go, and this door was open, the 2 rooms are connected. The other dealers were in here, and we'll go in there and I'll talk about it, because we actually had, we had about 4 dealers year one, and it really wasn't until MagFest 4 that the dealers came back to MagFest with, like with Carlson and Madgear. Hey Carlson, I hope you're watching this. I like Grace, Carlson's a good guy. We were chit-chatting about Jodorowsky films the other night. Anyways, yeah, so this was 50% of the deal. This tiny room was 50% of the dealer's room. If you go to MagFest nowadays, that gigantic marketplace hallway that barely has enough space for everybody, and this was 50% of year one. Let's go in the next room and get these lights.
Yep.
Well, I don't want to move that table, so we'll just go around.
We'll go around.
And this one's actually got some lights on. Come on in. Okay. So this is the other half. Is the lighting in here enough for you to get it?
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, yeah. So the guy who brought us the DDR machine was a friend of Dave Taylor's and Purnell's. It's funny because Dave Taylor was telling me, he tells people he was at MagFest 1 and people don't believe him. Yes, if you run into Dave Taylor, he was at MagFest 1 and he helped get the DDR machine for the show. Well, that guy was from Baltimore, and we gave him some dealer's tables here. And there was a group called JJ Enterprises, and I ran into them in California years later. They deal in swords and knives and weapons, and they just were randomly looking for conventions on the internet, and they were passing through Roanoke that weekend. It was on their circuit, so they booked a table with us. And then over here we had Stephen Kennedy selling his Final Fantasy tribute album, and Jake Kaufman. And do you know what Sean Ryder, I should have mentioned this, Sean Ryder is my co-chair. He was the co-founder of MagFest, and he's about the most humble person you'll ever meet because he never ever wants to take credit for it. Either that or he's embarrassed. I don't know, you tell me, Sean. But yeah, MagFest was my idea solely my idea, the original Inception, but I never could have done it without Sean Ryder. He did a lot of the work that I would not have been able to do. So I did have a coach here. But anyways, so Jake Kaufman, y'all may know Jake Kaufman as the composer to a video game series called Shantae. And he was actually selling copies of the original mint in box Game Boy Color at the time, the game itself. And Sean picked one up. I didn't. Anyways, so it was Stephen Kennedy, Jake Kaufman, and Ale Sean and the One-Ups. They all had a strip along here selling their albums and CDs and merchandise and original copies of Shantae. And then, yeah, the guy from Baltimore with the DVR machine and JJ Enterprises. And that was it. That room, we're on the other side of that room we were just in, by the way. Yeah, that room and this room, that was it. That was dealers. That was all of it. It was tiny. And now, you know, Danielle has that huge marketplace and she does a hell of a job. Okay, so here we are in the last section of what was MagFest 1. This we had split into 2 rooms, and I don't remember there being an air wall here. I honestly remember this being 2 rooms that were not connected. I don't know.
Things change.
Yeah, or maybe they always were. But see the air wall here. So this was the wall. And this was the video room, which has later turned on to, what was it, MagFest Games on Film that Chad ran for a number of years?
Yep.
Chad, by the way, was a MagFest 2. So he goes way back as, was he at Mag 1? I can't remember. Chad can tell us. At any rate, so we had an old, what was his name? Dave Bear ran the video room. But so this room was dark around the clock. And we ran, as opposed to like anime, we just ran anything video game related. One of the guys I knew from college made a video of all these short internet clips of people making video game GIFs. And this was 2002. So, you know, like a 30-second, a 60-second GIF with that many frames was amazing, you know. And we played The Wizard and the Mario movie. And here's something people don't know about MagFest. We had the US premiere of the first 4 episodes of the East Anime. Anime Works sent us demo tapes before it was released with, you know, the subtitles and the dubbing and all that. And that's in the program book. We actually had an anime world US premiere here at Mag 1. People don't know that. And this room was con ops. We just, you know, this wall came right here, and we had tables here, and we had stacks of stuff here, and people would come in for whatever they need, you know, all the game supplies and giveaways that we couldn't fit back in the main room at the, you know, behind the counter at the entrance was stacked up here. People would come in here to do program book signatures, and like, you know, oh, let's go over there, we can sign each other's program books and whatnot. But this was also really the room where the staff would run to hide to, you know, get 5 minutes. By the way, MagFest staff, original Mag, including last minute volunteers like yourself, Tom, MagFest 1's entire staff was less than 20 people. Less than 20 people. MagFest staff is what, 2,000 or 3,000 now?
It's around 1,600 at the moment, I believe.
Okay, 1,600. So, but yeah, so you've now seen those 4 or 5 main ballrooms split into 2 sections, the 2 boardrooms down there, and these 2 rooms right here, and the hallway. That was it. That was MagFest 1, all of it. You could fit all of that into 1 panel room at MagFest nowadays. That's, you know, we went from, you know, 260 people to 23,000, 24,000. What was last year's?
About 24, yeah. 24.5, I think it was the final total.
Anyways, let's get out of here. We can talk a little bit more on the hallway as we walk back, but that's a lot of it. We'll do one more segment when we get out of here. Okay. So this is E around the corner, and what I didn't realize, I'd forgotten this, it's been so long. D and E are the same room, just with different doorways. So what you saw just now in the main ballroom, the air wall between B and C, so A, B, and C, D, that's exactly how we had MagFest 1 split. So you did see the size of the original game room and the air wall, and then the size of main events concerts. That's exactly how it was split. Go figure. We're just for fun, we're gonna walk around here. The first year we did want to use this room, but 18, 19 years ago, they wouldn't let conventions use this extra space for anything because, you know, they make a lot of their money on food sales, but we don't need to go in, but you can, oh, there's people eating in there. You can see inside, it's where they had their breakfast buffet, and then we can, and then the bar is right here. This is actually a really nice lounge to come to. I used to come down here, come in for anything. I used to come out here and get drinks, quite not, you know, after Mag, because for 5 years I actually lived at the hotel, the apartments behind this hotel. But this is a really nice lounge. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to leave. Sorry.
All right.
All right. So, well, we're back outside now, and there's nobody here. So that was pretty much it. MagFest 1. The dimensions. I'm going to zoom in a minute and show you this. You can see the tiny amount of square footage in each of these ballrooms, how MagFest got started. I guess there's not much. The guy at the front desk gave us this, the concierge. And we were talking to him a little bit about there was a science fiction show that used to be out here years ago called ShivaCon. And those guys, we worked for ShivaCon, and we did work for KatsuCon in DC, and Anime Mid-Atlantic in Richmond, and NecoCon in Virginia Beach. And that's where we learned how we staffed all 4 of those shows. That's how we learned to do conventions. And then, there's a long story. MagFest started off as an anime convention, but it became a video game convention because we really wanted to be something different. That's a long story for another time. But before we say goodbye here, I want to bring this up so you can just see where we were. Tell me when you're on so I can point.
Got it.
Okay. So yeah, this A and B, that was the entire video game room. C, D, and E was the entire main events room. We had the air walls pulled down. So what you saw inside actually was correct. These were the 2 dealers' rooms we saw. Here was tabletop in this little foyer, registration, and here was the video room and con ops. We had one more room. We had con suite on the 2nd floor. I probably should mention this. It was 1 suite between 2 hotel rooms. We used it for food for the staff and the guests, but since we only had like 270, 60 people, anybody who wanted to come up, who found out about it. And my mother was the original con suite chef. And she fed 200 some people for a weekend. And I love Louis, he's a great guy. But my mom was still the best con suite cook ever. So, but anyways, yeah. And you can also see the dimensions in the square foot. We could add this up real quick. The ballroom is 6,000 square feet, and the boardroom's 2. So that's 8, 9. So yeah, MagFest 1 was about 9,000 square feet. Tom, do you, just off the top of your head, do you know how big one of your panel rooms is?
Oh.
Even one of the smaller ones. Do you know those dimensions?
Not offhand. I'd have to check my my documents.
But I guarantee you, the main ballroom for panels is way bigger than all of that. And even those smaller, like last year, the ones you used for like panels 4 and 5, even one of those is about the size of our entire ballroom space in there. So.
Yeah, our largest panel room generally seats about 800 at this point, so that's probably a good barometer.
Yeah. MagFest 1 had, less than 300. Anyways, that's it. I did want to mention one thing. We have been furtively working on, in case people watch this video, we have been furtively working on a book or an illustrated materials collection, photographs and captions and anecdotes from people just like you. We're kind of trying to put together a history of MagFest for the 20th anniversary coming up in about a year and a half. So if you're watching this and you have old photos of MagFest of years gone by, or just great stories you'd like to tell, I'm trying to collect as much as I can. I'd love to hear whatever stories you got, your favorite memories of MagFest, pictures you've got that you want to share from any mag, even Mag Stock or BitGen or Game Over or Mag West, any of that stuff. We are actively collecting as much as we can. So find a way to get in touch with me. It's not hard. You can go through MagFest and they can put you in touch with me. And hopefully we can have a real nice, beautiful kind of book collectible out for the 20th anniversary that everybody can get a copy of and everybody can enjoy. I think that'd be a real nice piece. Anyways, but I need input. I need people just like you. I need your input to, make it as good as it can be. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching. That was MagFest 1 in a nutshell.